What's poppin'? It's your fly gal, Just Bree, coming at you with another Life and Culture podcast episode. And I'm here with somebody who has over 1 million streams, has had that label culture, has now transitioned into independent living when we're talking about music, with over 50K on Instagram and over 40K streams on Spotify each and every month. I'm talking about Wave Chappelle.
Yeah. I like that intro. That was good.
Thank you. I'll be practicing for real. I'll be in the mirror like, okay, let me make sure I get it right. And then as soon as I come, I do it off the dome just so that I could try to like remember everything.
Nah, that's fire. I love it.
It's a weird thing.
Yes.
Usually I start these interviews off with a little bit of background and all that good stuff, but we was in a good debate.
Yeah, we was having a good convo off the air.
Yeah. So if I could just lob it up and then you could go from 100%. Where you were at, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about label duties basically versus artistry duties. What's the artist duties? What's the label duties? Now, I'm on the end that label should be a little bit heavier and Wave is on the artist part. Now, what I've said in this whole debate is that I think that when you become a label head, when you become a CEO of a label, you have lives in your hand. Lives in your hands, right?
Yeah.
You need to be able to put aside what you want for the better good of an artist. And then, Wave, I'll let you.
All right, so yeah, a couple things.
And we do agree with each other, by the way.
Right, yeah, no, for sure. And there's a couple things I feel like, one, for the listeners, I want to educate what it means to be a CEO and what it means to be an artist and a CEO. When an artist has a label, right, whether it's Drake, OVO, whether it's Lil Wayne, Young Money, whether it's, whoever, whether it's Gotti, CMG, they have their labels, and then they have a parent label that they have to filter that label through, right? So even though they're CEOs, they're not the CEO, right?
Like some people want to know, like Sony, Warner,
exactly,
like you, Columbia, QC,
right? So Young Money filters through Universal, Dreamville filters through Interscope, right? These guys, and then the major labels, they make decisions as well. But what I was gonna speak to is when an artist becomes head of a label, they do have a responsibility to make their artists successful, but to a certain extent. I feel like their job is to give them tools. Right. Their job is to educate them on how to, maneuver in this space, and then ultimately give them the ingredient to make a delicious meal, and then ultimately a restaurant. Right.
So one of the examples that we had was Tiana Taylor, Big Sean, and
Kanye.
Yee. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And another example I would give, and obviously, in those examples, a lot of people feel like Ye didn't do enough for, say, a Big Sean or, say, a Tiana Taylor. And my rebuttal would be that Ye is such an artist that he's not only is he's still functioning at high level as an artist himself, but he's also trying to give the tools so the artist could take the baton and do a sprint and get to the finish line. And a successful example of this, right, is Lil Wayne, right? Lil Wayne is functioning at his height. Yes. Signed tons of artists. The whole Young Money.
Let's be clear. Nicki Minaj, Drake, Tyga, Gutta Gutta.
Right.
Oh, so many.
And to see, Tyga be successful in the way that he was successful, making hits, constant hits. He's staying with a hit to the point where he could go do a residency in Vegas if he wanted to.
Yes, he can.
Right? Drake is who he is now. You know what I'm saying? Nicki Minaj is who she is now.
Right.
And
18 sold out shows.
And he was still able to function as a high level artist. Lil Wayne was. And that's because when he gave them the tools and the resources, they took it and then built and ran with it. Right. That's an example of the artist taking it and doing what they're supposed to do with it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I would be curious to see how long was it between because let's not forget Tiana Taylor, for example, was signed to Pharrell. Right. And at that time, Pharrell had his things going on amicably. Now they discuss it and understand what it is and what it was, right? So when she got under Yee, I think that definitely she started to run with what he was giving her for sure, because then, we didn't know exactly who Tiana Taylor was. Like, we knew her from My Sweet 16 when she chose the bike over the car. Right. But then we see her even a little bit before Fade, right? When she is coming out with music videos with maybe it's the drink, maybe it's the liquor.
Right.
And then we see Fade and now it's growing, right?
Right. 100%.
But somewhere in that portion, I think that's where the label dropped the ball. And same for Big Sean. I think at some point he had at some point that same thing happened to Big Sean. He was able to create his albums. He was able to kind of get to that point. But then we kind of see this point where we don't hear from Big Sean. But then it's matching up in the same kind of quarter with Tiana Taylor when we're seeing that Fade went up, Fade did his thing, but then something happened.
I could tell you what happened.
And then
No, I could tell you what happened. Well, because Big Sean actually explains that he just took time away from music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those are separate situations. I feel like the Tiana Taylor and the Big Sean situation, those are separate. Because I think Sean reached everything that he wanted to do. He's got #1 albums. He's got platinum records. Ooh. He literally just did the most recent Rollin' Loud. Yeah. Came out there, just rolled off the hits, all the hits. And I'm talking about, and you know what I mean? Like, what more could you want?
He's so handsome.
The only other, here you go.
I just had to say that he is so. I think that he's with the perfect person. Yeah. I think that they are perfect together. Yeah. I would never in my
Sean is one of my favorite rappers, and to me, the only other level for him to go is Drake level. You know what I mean? So to me, that's a successful career. So I wouldn't say I couldn't.
I think that we talk about him in top 10. Well, we should be able to talk about him in top 5. And I think that.
But that's due to him though. Like he said it though. He said it in an interview. He's like, "Yo, I personally took time off for myself. I didn't want to be in the spotlight every back-to-back years after Dark Sky Paradise." He's like, "Yo, I wanted my peace," whereas other artists just kept going. Right. You know what I mean? So I think that's different. But and I can't speak to Tiana's situation because I don't know enough about her career, but
that's a lot of where I saw that came to like pass that Ye's actions has affected more than one person.
Shout out Ye though. I ain't gonna lie. Ye put on a lot of people.
He has. He is a great. Not only is he a great producer, he's a great artist. He was a great CEO at some point too. But health and wellness with yourself transpires to other people too. Right. Not just your kids, not just your wife, not just your household. Especially when you have a business, and you can contest to this too, right? Because you're an artist, you are a business. Absolutely. You affect everybody else too. And when you are a CEO, you are not like the boss of everybody. It kind of feels as though they're the bosses of you in a sense because you work for them. Their happiness matters, their guarantees matter, and you have to think like that. And if you don't, oh no, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think from a moral standpoint that makes sense, but unfortunately,
with business sometimes
music,
it's not always
I was gonna say business is never. They're not. You know what I mean? Morals are not taken into consideration when talking business. But I will piggyback off what you said that, taking care of your mental is probably the highest form of grinding. You know what I mean? Like, if there's no you, there's no grind. You know what I mean? So you got to take care of
there's no music.
Yeah, you got to take care of yourself. So.
Right. But let me give you a proper
yeah, let's do it.
Introduction in a sense. Like, let's give the listeners a taste of like you and who you are as Wave Chappelle. I know that you have fans out there. Trust me, I do. Yeah. But if you were introducing yourself to a brand new fan, how would you do it?
I would say Wave Chappelle is a very authentic artist from the north side of Milwaukee. Very, very skilled, you know what I mean? Very true to the art form. Just sharing my experience, sharing substance, and giving you the best raps you ever heard.
Period. I see you kept that nice, short, sweet, and straight to the point. You know? It's funny because sometimes everybody got these long-winded things about themselves. Even me, I got to get a little better at like how I introduce myself to the world or somebody who's meeting me for the first time, but you got it down pat. And I think it's a little bit to that media training we talked about a little earlier.
You know, I got it. I'm a marketing major, one. Right. And two, I was given an analogy a long time ago. They're like, yo, if you're introducing yourself to somebody, you got to treat yourself like a restaurant, for real. Like when you first go to a restaurant, you hungry. You don't want this long-winded, you don't want anything long-winded. You don't want to just look at this big old menu. You want to know what's here, why am I here, what is available for me to get, and you got to give it to them in a very fly way. So
right.
you know what I mean, you got to make it sticky.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your sound early on, right?
Yeah.
What were some of those influences? What got you into music?
I would definitely say, well, I grew up in a household of just all hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I hear stories all the time. People be like, oh, you know, my mama would clean up on Sundays to R&B and the Isleys and Marvin Gaye. That was not my experience. My experience was a lot of hip hop, DMX, Lauryn Hill, Nas, Jay-Z, Beastie Boys. Like, you go all Eazy-E, NWA, all of that. You know what I mean? I think I said this in a interview before, but the two albums that really drove me to be a hip hop artist was College Dropout and Blueprint, which both dropped in 2004. But you know, I think Jay-Z just made it seem, I was always going to be a creative writer, but I think Jay-Z just made it seem so cool to put it in a rap. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, just the way he was doing it. And then I think Kanye's storytelling, like, he just made it feel tangible. You know what I mean? Like, especially when he first came out, he's like, you know, I'm a college dropout, right?
Late registration.
Exactly. All these things that you could relate to. So, you know, that's kind of what drove me to it.
Man,
know?
I think my love for Ye I knew about Ye for forever, right? But my love for him began spaceships, like at a job that I really don't want to be at. Let this manager say one more thing. Like, I might blow up. But hearing it in a song really does, like, dictate where you see yourself sometimes. Music is, if you are a musically inclined person, music moves you in a different way. So when was the first time that you felt moved by a song, and what was that song? Yeah,
I would say probably Keys to the Rock. Off of College Dropout. It was just, it's the raps, but then also the storytelling at the end where he talked about the whole. That was the first time I heard the journey of trying to be a rapper, having these meetings, having it fail, blow up in your face, like all this stuff. Also, R.I.P. Mel. He talked about Mel, who's somebody that I met along my journey as well. But yeah, just hearing the journey, you know what I mean? And I was just like, man, this is crazy. Like, nobody really told the story like that before. And so that's the song that really, really moved me, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then from then, I was able to listen to other albums with, like, a conscious ear.
Right. It's a thing with every artist that I interview, right?
Yeah.
That thing that put them over the edge to actually make that first song. What was that like for you?
For me, I think to make my first song is really just me feeling confident. You know what I mean? I was feeling myself. Around the time that I started rapping, like recording. This is maybe like 8th grade. I had just came back from Memphis.
Feeling yourself in 8th grade is crazy.
Nah, I'm gonna tell you why.
Me in 8th grade, I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to look like. I looked like Dora the Explorer. I had a whack bangs. Didn't know myself. Going into high school, it's a little crazy. I just lost my baby fat, and you telling me you had all this confidence in 8th grade.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. So around like all through like maybe grade school, 6th grade, all that, I was super nerd. You know what I mean? Like I was into Star Wars heavy. I still am a big Star Wars collector, all of that. But I was like heavy on the nerd side. I got into some trouble, and my mom sent me to Memphis to stay with my grandma. And I was going to school in Memphis, and I had to find my swag basically because I'm going to a school nobody knows who I am, right? Everybody, I'm the only one that's different, you know what I mean? And I had to fit in somehow. And I remember being at the lunch table, and one thing that I could do that nobody could was rap. I knew how to rap really good, and so I started freestyling at the table, and I got cool with everybody. Loved me after that. They used to call me Milwaukee. Hey man, hey, bro, come rap at the table, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that became a thing. So I started getting super confident. All the girls was liking me, you know what I mean? I started kind of feeling myself. I was getting my swag. And so by the time I came back to Milwaukee, 8th grade, it was just like, all right, I know what I want to do. I know what my purpose is. I got my voice. Now I got to figure out how to do it in the studio. And shout out my cousin Seven. My cousin Seven took me to the studio with his homies. They were all older than me. And he was like, bro, y'all got to hear my cousin rap. Like, he nice. And I just sat there. I freestyled for maybe like 3 minutes. And after that, they was like, oh, no, he... You know what I mean? He the real deal. And from then, I just started recording.
So what was that first song? And what was it about? Rap it right now.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I think my first song was either called Touchdown I think it was Touchdown, or it was we did a sample of Fresh Prince. The song is actually fire. We sampled Fresh Prince. The song was hard. It was me, my guys. We was in a group called Be Right, and that was the first joint. And the one I could really remember very well is called Tie Dye, which was hard. Tie Dye stood for the intelligent dope individual.
Okay.
It was an acronym. It was crazy though. Like I'm talking about 8th grade through like summer going into freshman year. Like I went on a run where I was like freestyling. I found my flow, and then the rest was history for real.
So, would you re-release those songs? Like if you could.
Those songs are out. I ain't gonna tell y'all where y'all can find them, but those songs are out. They on YouTube. Do your research. You can find it. It's,
You should, when I tag it in this video. So, no, but I think that it's a beautiful thing when you're able to go back and see somebody's journey. I hate mine, though, because I look bummy.
What? So, we all went through our phases, What you was wearing, the I Love Booby bracelets, like, that was your thing.
If you could go back and find me, child, I would hate to see what's on there. Like,
hey,
remember Kick and all that type of stuff? Like, child, please don't look for me.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna find that MySpace now.
It's just old Facebook. It's crazy, but it's a beautiful thing to be able to see artists grow. And one thing that I can say about artists' growth is I do like to see a little bit of how this whole thing happened.
Yeah.
I sometimes hate when I go on Instagram pages and everything is deleted every time. But I'm starting to understand why, because you are a new person consistently throughout these years, and sometimes that old form doesn't really match who you are today, so you get rid of it, right? You shed a sort of layer of skin. With yourself, you went from being in college, right?
Yeah.
And you had to shed that layer of, okay, I know I'm going to college, going to get a degree, to actually going out for your dreams. And I don't want to give it away, but I want you to tell the story of college and then why you had to leave.
Okay, so I'll start with why I had to leave. I kind of pretty much, I ain't gonna lie, once I got in high school, I was pretty much staying with my cousins and them. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? We was getting into a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? On top, like, rapping is an expensive hobby. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to pay for the MacBook. You need mics. You need to pay for promo.
Interface.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of stuff. So, we was grinding. We was getting it how we was getting it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say I was the biggest hustler, but I was a hustler. We was doing what we needed to do, selling pins here, selling merch. You know what I mean? We just going to get it, right? In the process, boom, I get into some trouble, and I kind of was faced with this ultimatum. It's like, yo, basically it's like, go to college, or you know what I mean? Like, you do not have the support from your family. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, the only thing that was really keeping me from going was like, I was so loyal to the group. You know what I mean? I didn't never want the
people around you.
Right. I didn't want the group to feel like I was abandoning them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, shout out my cousin Seven. He was always like the, I don't know,
moral compass, in a sense.
Yeah, like, who wants to be a millionaire? You got the lifeline. You can call somebody. He's literally always been that, right?
Yeah.
So he pulled me to the side one day. He's like, yo, bro, like, you should go.
Yeah.
Like, he literally like, you should leave, go to Memphis. And sure enough, I ended up going to school, and that's when I became a solo artist for the first time. I went from Astro to Wave Chappelle officially.
Yeah.
Once I went to University of Memphis.
Because those old things don't quite fit like that no more.
Right. And reinvention is important too. Like, for all the artists that's listening, never be afraid to reinvent yourself. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times we get attached to an image or get attached to a certain aspect of our branding. But one of the most powerful things you can do is rebrand. You know what I mean? Rebrand, you make it hit, and then essentially you're a brand new artist again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just a little nugget for all the upcomers out there. But
you became Wave Chappelle. You went to school in Memphis.
Yeah. So while I was there, it kind of happened so fast, for real. It happened in maybe like 2 weeks, honestly. I met everybody. I met DJ Rocksteady. I met Young Dolph. I met Rick Ross.
Yeah.
I started to kick it with a lot of Drake's family. You know, he has tons of cousins out there. His dad is out there. I got really cool with them. And you know, while that's happening, I'm also working on my first project as a solo artist. This is right around the transition from CDs to the streaming era. So I was like slanging like hard copy CDs.
It was CDs, DVDs
you know
in the parking lot. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And yeah, and that's pretty much, you know, that was like the grind process. And just to make a long story short, you know, I was in college. I didn't really want to be in college. Right. And at one point I was filling out for my second semester classes at a spot called Ching's Wings. Shout out to the Jackson family. I love them to death. They owned the Ching spot. Yeah. And they would always hook me up, you know what I mean, for whatever reason. I think they just thought I was a nice kid. Yeah. And I'm in there, I'm eating my wings, I'm filling out my classes, and I get a DM from Yo Gotti. And he's like, yo, like, the project is out at this point. It's called It'll All Make Sense Soon. Yeah. I got to shout out Coldway. I got to shout out Rocksteady, DJ Rocksteady, for helping me put that album together. Shout out my pop, too, who was there for that whole process. And we put the project out. It went crazy. Like, for some,
not for some odd reason.
I know
it was good.
Yeah, it was so fire. But it's so crazy to me how fast it happened. Like, I put it out, and like within 2 weeks, everybody got it as their profile picture. People are hitting me up. My Instagram is going crazy, and I was putting out a lot of freestyles too. Yeah. So I think that was part of it, just because I was like,
I definitely think like that's a low-key cheat code that people don't know about. Even Lakia was like, oh, I just get on and start doing freestyles.
Exactly.
So Weedy said that she would do freestyles every Monday.
Yeah.
Like, it's consistency is a key.
Exactly. It's like, how do I get my product out there without having to officially release a song every time? How about I just do the purest form of what I'm doing, which is freestyling into my camera. Right. You know what I mean? So, you know, doing that, and, you know, it just took off, right? And it got to Yo Gotti, and, you know, he reached out, and the rest was really history.
I do want to take a step back, though, really quickly. You said something along the lines of reinventing yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And it's so funny. It's a part of, like, reinventing yourself, and I wanted to take a step back to when you said that you really didn't want to be in college, because those two things go hand in hand, right? Because you had every expectation to go to college, figure this out, and really like, all right, I'm going to do this for 4 years, and this is it. Yeah. Even with me and my journey, I was in college when I started at V100.7. And I'm a freshman going into sophomore year, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my degree, and then afterwards I'll see like what internships or who I could work for. But it hit me like a bag of rocks. And you have to be ready to reinvent yourself, because you wasn't at any given point for anybody. You're not that person that had an expectation to be working for who at that time you really wanted to work for, or the mecca of what you're doing, right? Because getting a call from Yo Gotti means that you have to come up with something new. You got to be able to be consistent, though, with who you are. And that's not even just with music, right? That's morally, consciously, and then that floats into music. Yeah. But sometimes people get it and they fumble it, because I don't think that artists or even people in general are ready for what may come. And what may come has to be something solid in yourself. To be like, okay, if this comes, like, you got to be malleable. You got to be able to move. You got to be able to be flexible. Because like I said, when it's coming, it's coming. Yeah. And you got to be ready for it, or you may drop the ball, right? Right. So let's talk about the process of you then going from being an independent solo artist to being hit up by a record label exec at that time.
Yeah. I think it was, I mean, not to sound arrogant, it's not an arrogant thing. I think I prepared myself properly literally all through high school. I was a functioning artist. Like, that was my thing. I was doing shows.
You make it sound like an addiction. I'm a functioning artist.
Nah, you know, because, you know, some people, and it's not a knock on anybody, but, like, you know, some people would be like, oh, you know, I'm an artist. And I think a functioning artist and an artist is two different things, right? Or let's go more specific, a rapper. Because we have tons of rappers. There's people who be like, oh, I rap. Are you functioning as a rapper? Because being a rapper means you're doing X, Y, and Z. You're in your email every day. You're booking. You're trying to book shows. You're trying to get it started. You're working on a project. You're doing, like, every day actively. You're working towards this, actively doing it. Whereas what I would call a functioning artist is a functioning or a non-functioning rapper is somebody who'd be like, oh, I rap, but it's like more like a hobby. Yeah. But when you meet people, you tell people you rap, like that's your occupation, right? So it's different.
Yeah.
So when I say I was a functioning artist in high school, I was literally going to school. I had my merchandise for my brand in my book bag.
Yeah.
I was, after school, I would go upstairs, me and Mag and Buddha and Ish, we literally built a studio above the auditorium. Mm-hmm. So after classes, we wasn't going to practice. We was going to practice in the studio, you know, working on records. And then even after I would leave the school, I would go home and make more records. I had the MacBook and all this stuff. So literally every day, I went through the trials and errors all through high school. Mm-hmm. Is basically what I was getting at. And so when I got to that point where Gotti called me, it didn't feel, I mean, I felt grateful, but it didn't feel overwhelming. I didn't feel like I didn't know what to do. I felt so poised in that situation because I was like, man, I technically been grinding for 4 years.
It's 2020. It's so funny. Like, it's a funny thing. Like, because during that time, you didn't think that you were hitting the bag. Yeah. You didn't feel like it was practicing. It was just something that you love to do.
Right.
And I'm only at that. I'm 25 or about to be 25, and I know that you're 30.
Yeah, I'm 30. So, I just turned.
Congratulations. Happy birthday,
30
of course.
club, 10 plus a dub.
10 plus a dub. Yeah. But I like that quote. I'm going to use that when I turn 30.
Club, 10 plus a dub.
That could be an actual name. But no, hindsight is 2020. And I think right now, even in the past interviews, I've been reflecting a lot. Because I think I'm at that quarter mark in life, right? And I would tell people early on, like, oh, this just came natural.
Right.
Because in some parts it did. Yeah. But if I think back to it, every communication thing that I could do, I did in high school, right?
Right.
If I wanted to do a dance a certain way, right? Because I went to high school at the arts. But I went for dance. Yeah. Something that you don't communicate with your mouth at all. But I communicated well with my peers. I communicated well in that sense. And then right afterwards, I was like, oh, I'm interested in this in college. So at first it was nursing because my mom is a nurse. So I was like, oh, she made good money and da-da-da. Then I transitioned to communications. Then I went to the communications program and said, this ain't the kind of communications I want to do at all.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, let me start a podcast. Right. And I was like, you know what? And I remember telling my dad, like, I think if I put my efforts towards this, because at that time, it wasn't no Joe Budden podcast for real. Like, that, not that I was watching. It wasn't, like,
popular to do it.
Nope. It was Combat Jack. And he would have all these stories about hip-hop. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. Then, of course, I was watching The Breakfast Club, and I was watching Angie Martinez. And I never forget going on V100 website and just being like, I wonder what they got. And then there was nothing that I wanted to do, and I was like, oh, okay. And then eventually getting the job and stuff. So all those things are practice.
Yeah, are preparing you for where you headed.
For where you want to go. And I think that as artists and for you as Wave Chappelle to say that this is what that was, this was practice, even when you think that it's not, that's how you know it's something that you're supposed to be doing. Because because it's work to do it. Yeah. When work feels like play, you are in a really, really good space.
Absolutely.
So when you became a member of the label, how did that feel? What was some struggles and the best part about it?
Yeah. Far as just the overall feeling, it was dope. I felt like I felt like it was it was my calling, like kind of like what you were saying. This is what I was destined to do. This is what I'm here for. And now it's like, okay, cool. Now I get a chance to play in the NBA, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is the first team that I joined. And, I get to see what it's like, what the experience is, you know what I mean? Some of the struggles, I would say, I guess I look at it as simple, but kind of just the learning curve of going from independent to seeing how the process works as an artist that's on the label.
Talk about that difference. So what's the difference between solo and label?
Well, one, there's a lot of as an independent, you get so much say so, right? Everything is basically
whatever you want.
Yeah, relying on you, right? Whereas on a label, there's so much more input. And then there's an actual process to releasing music. Whereas, like, again, as an independent, you can go in the studio, cook it, and be like, man, this is ready to go. Like, I'm ready to I'm finna drop
Put it
this.
out today.
Yeah, I'm finna go drop
Let's
this.
go take a picture.
You feel me? Whereas, like, with the label, it's like, hold on. You thought it was ready. Nah, like, we need this. Okay, cool. Now that you got the record, what's going to be the promo? Where's the marketing plan? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then how much of the budget do we need for the marketing plan? How are we going to sell this, right? Yeah. So
would that, really quickly, would that be one of the things that you say holds up a record, like, solidly?
Yes, for good or for bad, for good or for worse. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's a good thing because sometimes people need that. Sometimes people be like, it'll be like, hold up. Like, I see where we can execute a way better marketing plan, and then it end up hitting. Yeah. Right. Sometimes, on the flip side, it end up working not in the artist's favor because it could take years. It could take literally years to find the right marketing plan and the right rollout for a record, and then you end up sitting on it, and then you don't like it no more, and then it finally drops, and you don't like it so much that you don't even push it. So it works. It's, you know what I mean? It works in two ways. Right. So I would say that's different. Of course, being hooked up to the machine, like, you get way more publicity. Right. Right. Like, when you a independent artist, you're gonna drop your record. Sometimes, man, nobody might not hear it. Honestly, like,
I used to love when the record reps came around to the radio station because they would give you so much detail on a record. Yeah. And they're pushing, like, of course they wasn't there to see me. I was producing and I was a part-time on-air personality. So they wasn't pushing to me. They were pushing, you know, to the PD and the MP. Let me actually say what it is. The music director and the director of programming. They'll be pushing it to them, but. Oh my goodness, the amount of detail that they'll give you about an artist. Yeah. And I love seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I remember Megan, Big Old Freak. I remember how hard that they were going for that. Yeah. And the song was amazing. And then I was their market, so they'll always ask me, like, do you like the song or do you not? And that was a really, like, comfortable, good feeling to feel, even as just a fan on the side. Yeah. You know, but that label.
I'm gonna tell you though, I can't stand that. I don't like that process only because, and this is a very me thing. This is just a very me personally thing. As artist, well, let me not say artist. As an artist, I'm gonna drop a book called As an Artist. Don't steal that.
Cut that out so you don't get copied, so nobody jumps to it.
But yes, as an artist, I don't like that process because when we paint these pictures, in my case, the music, I don't want to have to take it around all these people and be like, what do you think? 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 And then, you know, I can respect somebody's opinion, but I can respect it exactly for that. It's just an opinion. But a lot of times in the label space, an opinion is valued so much, like almost overvalued. Like this opinion is overvalued. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you could be like, yo, this person don't even make music. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you tell me, oh, nah, this not what's hot right now? Like, what? But anyway, that's just.
How do you know what's hot?
Yeah,
you know?
But that's just my opinion on it.
What was it like working with Yo Gotti?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Working with Gotti is dope because I think creatively, he don't get enough credit for being creative. And he's also a way better rapper than he's given credit for. I think, but rightfully so, because, you know, his highlights are all his singles, which he purposely doesn't over rap on them. But I've heard him. I've been in the process where he's like, he can really, really rap. Like, he's really, really good. And then just learning from him, he's super wise. I always call him when I talk about him in interviews, I'm like, he's like a down south version of Jay-Z. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he has so much knowledge on how to maneuver through the business. He knows he's a great marketer. You know what I mean? He knows what's gonna sell, and he's just
so unproblematic. Like,
yeah, and he's always having just productive conversations. Like, even in the studio, we could be having a random convo, and he'll turn that random convo into like this lesson. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it was dope. Like, and he also allowed me to you know, work with him too. Like, write. I got a chance to write. I 100% would not be the rapper I am today if I didn't get a lot of the knowledge from Gotti. And one thing specifically I could give, because I don't be trying to give all his secret techniques
yeah.
out. But one of the things he taught me, right, like I love like being wordy and lyrical and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me that every beat don't warrant that, right? He was like, sometimes you got to purposely draw it back for the sake of being catchy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to draw it back for the sake of being melodic. On certain, you got to pick your spots, and he kind of taught me. He did teach me how to pick those spots on those beats, and that's one of the things that I can't thank him enough for, because now I get these records where I can sing on here. I get my Drake on, you know what I mean? So yeah.
And then other records you gotta actually rap. You gotta put forth that effort. So I want to again take a step back. I got to meet Black Youngster, and Black Youngster is hilarious, nonetheless. But he's very wise himself, right? He's a really good guy. Like, and he actually is smart and talented, but he puts on this different persona, right? Why you laughing? Just tell me.
No, go ahead. I'm letting you cook.
So he's a really good guy, and when I say wise, he had a lot of good things to say when he came to V100 and he got interviewed by Promise. He did like a walkthrough or whatnot. Mm-hmm. My goodness, he talked about how Gotti does make everything into a lesson, and he had to understand and learn certain things. Mm-hmm. One of the things he talked about is learning patience through Gotti. Yeah. And I remember him talking about, like, you know, Gotti told him a meal to sign, right? And that wasn't all the money, but he like, you know, a meal to sign. So he take the money to the bank, blah, blah, the check, da-da-da. And Youngster like, where this money at, brother? brother like, what's up? Where this money at? I ain't see it. And Gotti like, it take time for these things, and you need to start to learn this patience and this grind. So I do like that you said that Gotti taught you a lesson in production, but what was maybe like a life lesson that Gotti was able to produce for you, like give to you?
I feel like I give this one all the time, so I'm going to say two. I'm going to give this one because it's actually the one that stuck with me the most. And I've said this before. He said, chase the dream, don't chase the money. And I feel like that can resonate with any profession that you in. When you chasing the dream, which is basically the passion, that's going to keep you elevating. Because when you're chasing the dream, you can achieve the dream, and then but the passion of it is going to keep you going. Right. If you're just chasing money, you're going to stop at a certain point. Right. Or you might just put yourself in a bind somewhere down the line because you're so thirsty for the money. You're like, you're going to take this contract, you're going to take this, you're going to take that, just because the money is there.
Right.
But when
you might find yourself in some funny situations.
Right.
No Diddy.
But when you chasing, whoa. Yeah, no Diddy.
No Diddy. But I like that quote now.
Yeah. When you chasing the dream, though, it's just all passion, and the money gonna come when you're chasing the dream. So that's one of the things that he taught me that really, really stuck with me. You know, he taught me a lot of things, though, man. He taught me a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, mentors are far and few between. Good mentors. I say that.
Oh, I gotta shout out. Currency too, though. Currency taught me a lot in the music.
What you want to do? Just take it all out of my breath?
Oh, my bad.
No,
go
it's
ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Am I jumping? All right.
No, you good.
Because I was gonna say I didn't want to miss the opportunity to shout out Spitter. Like that tour, I did the drive-in theater tour with him, and that tour was probably just as pivotal as me signing to CMG to who I am today. You know, he taught me. Led by example, showed me, and talked to me about what it looked like to be independent, but like successfully independent. You know, just showed me the way. Really, just showed me the way, like a Jedi master almost. Yeah. I never forget. You know, I drove the first 3 dates on the tour, and you know, he watched me perform that third day. It was like, man, you know what, man, come on the bus. You know what I mean? Like, we want you on the bus. And the whole rest of the way, like, he just kind of gave me a lot of advice and a lot of nuggets here and there. So, you know, I really appreciate that time too.
Well, that was one of the next steps I was going to get to, because
my bad.
It seemed like, no, it's okay. But through research, you see the timeline under CMG. Like, you see that you got signed, you were able to put out a few records and whatnot. Yeah. And then able to put out a body of work, able to put out a body of work, and then you jump on tour with Currency. Yeah. What was it like to be on tour with Currency, one of the best lyricists in the game? Yeah. Currency doesn't get enough praise, period. Yeah. I went to see Currency at the rave I don't even want to say, was I still in high school or did I might have just graduated high school. So I went to go see Currency. Yes, it was right after high school because I didn't need permission to go, right? Yeah. So I went to go see him, me and a friend of mine, and I was just blown away by how many lyrics his fans knew, right? Because I was a Currency fan. But I'm not one to remember lyrics, right? I'm really poor at that. If the song is on, I remember it, right?
Even your favorite artist?
Even my favorite artist. Okay. Trash. Yeah. I'm so, like, I can remember, like, pieces, whole songs. If you got me on stage to be like, here, sing, I'd be like, babe, I'm losing. Put a gun in my head and say, finish these lyrics, done. Not happening. Yeah. But my memory is just bad, ADHD. So, like, I'm in there mouthing the words myself, but, like, the crowd is rapping bar for bar with this dude. And keep in mind, Currency is not an easy, like, artist to follow as far as lyrics. No. So his audience was able to catch his cadence, catch his pockets. And I was like, yo, that's an artist. Yeah. So what was it like being on tour with an artist of his stature? Yeah.
I want to throw this in there, too, before I go into it. I was still on the label when I got that tour. I had dropped Only the Beginning. And I'll tell you about that process, too. But being on tour with Spitta was dope just because, you know, at that point I had heard about artists being independent. You know, you had the super mainstream artists, but then you had kind of like the blog era rappers that were kind of building this whole independent thing. And I had always heard about it, but I'd never seen it in real time.
The kind of era you're talking about is like Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, you know, like there was like this pocket of like, you know, indie artists. Like I think at the time Wale had been independent.
Denzel Curry, I know
Spitta was. Yep, Denzel Curry. There was a lot of people, Cool Kids, you know what I mean? The list goes on. But when I got on tour with Spitta, it was so crazy to see what it looked like. He had all this freedom, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't no mainstream rapper do the show, jump on their tour bus, and then jump off the tour bus, have their whole crowd sit outside their bus and just kick it with them, smoking joints. They giving them Hot Wheel cars. Like, he's building a community. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he was like, you know, he was just showing me these little details on what it looked like to service your fan base, right? Like, stuff like that. Stuff like, yo, come meet me by my bus. I'm going to come off, and we all just going to kick it. Like, everybody that bought a ticket came outside and kicked it with him. No security, nothing too crazy. You know what I mean? They was just kicking it, smoking a joint. He would throw an RSVP only event. Like when we hit New Orleans, he threw an event called Jet Lounge, and he invited his fans. And he not sitting in this section. Like, he does have a section, but he's not just like sitting in this section. He floating around the room amongst like all his fans. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I
want to say our ticket was like it was like a badge. You got a badge when you went into the concert. Yeah. They had him. It had like where you could find like his new project that was coming out. Yeah. But he put time and effort into making us feel special. Right. In that one concert. Yeah. At the rave. Yeah. You know.
And then even how he dealt with me, like when I first walked onto his bus, I'm like, yo, man, it's such a pleasure to meet you. And I was finna dap him up. He's like, man, yeah, man, fire this up, and handed me the joint. Like, handed me the joint, you know what I mean? Like, just invited me in his space. So it was
in his world.
Yeah, it was
like,
super
this
dope.
Is me, like, stop with all that shit. Just come in here, like we friends forever, and sit down. Yeah. And
his advice on, you know, just being independent, and he just told me, he's like, yo, if I could tell you anything, grow your fan base with you. You know what I mean? A lot of times as mainstream artists, they just, you know, they blow up and then their fans just come because, you know, they're on such a plateau. Right. The flip side of that is you could grow your fan base, even if it's only 20,000 people. Guess what? If those 20,000 people buy every single thing from you every time you do something,
right? That's X amount of dollars.
That's your career. That's your career right there.
Support, yeah.
Right. So, you know, shout out Spitta.
Yeah. Yeah. I think somebody who has like a really great track history of having their supporters grow with them is Travis Scott. Now, I have tried to get to 2 Travis Scott concerts when they were here. Back when he was in the rave. When he was in the rave, I had a friend that was supposed to go with me. She never bought her ticket, so I had to sell my ticket, right? Second time that I was supposed to go see Travis Scott, my brother broke the axle on my car, like, on the hill that my garage is on. We could not get this car in the garage, and my dad was like, y'all could just go to the concert, but I wasn't going to leave my car, and my brother wasn't going to leave me.
Right.
So we did not make it to the Travis Scott concert. But back to what you were saying, though, he did a great job of escalating his fans, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Not just from in the film where we see him performing in front of 20 people. I think that many artists have done that. But each step of the way, he curated a life around, a world around it, right? I like what Webster said in our interview. He said, if you love this shit, you need to be creating a world around it. And I think that's what you were exposed to with Currency, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about what was the expectations on CMG and then leaving CMG and going to being independent.
I really didn't have no expectations, honestly. Like my my rule of thumb for how I function as an artist, and this is just to keep my I think, again, as artists, we have to have this resilience to do what we do, right? Because you never know when the moment is, right? So you have to keep going with the belief that this is going to happen. And in the process, you have to have resilience. And so in order to sustain my resilience, I go into every situation with high hopes, no expectations.
Yeah.
So if you have zero expectations, then there's no disappointment. You eliminate disappointment. But if you have high hopes, then you just like, yo, you know, the ceiling is super, super high, but then there's no ground. You won't feel like you hit the ground because you didn't expect anything.
Right.
Right. So I went into the situation with high hopes, zero expectations. And, you know, I feel like I learned so much. You know what I mean? I learned so much. I had so many. I feel like as I sit here today, I'm on like my third career, honestly.
Yeah.
Because my time with CMG, that's one person's career, right? I dropped 3 albums. I've literally met everybody. You name it. I've sat down with them. I've had conversations with them. I've been around them.
Got in the studio probably worked.
Yeah. Tons of studio work. I've worked as an artist. I learned how publishing works. I just learned so much. So I think that's what I took most from the situation. I took all these tools as a mainstream artist, and now after I dropped my last album, which took longer than I wanted it to drop the album, and that's kind of what made me lean more towards going independent. It wasn't like there was no falling out or anything. Like me and Gotti, we have conversations still today. You know what I mean? Like I still have his number. We text. Or sometimes he'll see something that I do that's really dope on Instagram and he'll message me about it.
Right.
So just to clear the air, you know what I mean? You know, people
People do assume.
Yeah, people have all the theories in the world, but it's more
what did I ask you beforehand? Hey, before I ask you about this on mic, let me know something.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not a salacious person at all.
For sure. Yeah, I've seen
to hear that.
I've seen some crazy theories, like some real crazy theories.
Can I admit, like during research, oh, you got dropped or whatever, and I'm like,
or I got replaced, or you got replaced, or they sold you to, you know what I mean? Like all type of stuff.
Your track history will look different. See, that's one thing that if you don't have a musical eye to see what certain things say, right?
Yeah.
Or what certain records say.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, everything that you dropped under CMG, there's a whole report under that.
Yeah.
You know, that you could look at on Apple Music.
Yeah.
If you pay for any subscription, you could look at, okay, writers, producers,
for sure.
group, blah, blah, blah. But it wouldn't look like that if you got dropped, right?
Right, 100%.
It wouldn't look like that if you got sold off to somebody else or whatever. What it looked like to me is that there was some type of agreement. And I was like, oh, let me talk to him, see what it was. But I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people leave situations bad.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no room for that.
Nah, and I also think that, like, and again, I give Gotti a lot of love for this too, because you know, it's almost like he's an artist first and a CEO second. He identifies with the artist a lot, you know what I mean? And I think when he brought me into the situation, he'd always ask me, what do you want to do? What do you want? What are you looking for?
Right.
You know what I mean? And at that point, after I had dropped the third album, which was only the beginning, and this is fresh coming off of the tour with Spitta, and I was just like, man, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at this independent thing just because I knew what I wanted to do with my career, and I knew how I wanted to market myself and what places that I wanted to be in. And this not necessarily Gotti, but I feel like I said, each label has a father label. So their father label was Epic Records. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times they didn't know. and especially at this time, this is around like 2016, 2017. At this time, there wasn't a lot of people doing like the Chance the Rapper route, or what Lil Russell is doing right now, or Russ, or I could list a series of artists off now. That's doing it, but then it was they didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? It was like they were so puzzled. They were like, wait, you don't want to go to the club? Wait, we don't market your music on the radio? Like, wait, what do we do with you?
Right.
And so I think that's kind of what made me want to just take it into my own hands and see what I could do.
Yeah.
Which ended up being a very good decision.
Right.
I
think that independent, when people are faced, or let me say it like this, at a particular time in music, when you were faced with being independent, it looked like this big mountain that was impossible to climb. And I think that with today's climate, and honestly, bigger labels have social media creators to thank for that, right? For what we see now is, I don't want to say the downfall of labels, because I don't think that labels will ever go anywhere, but see the decrease in labels' contribution to artists' careers in a way that they used to. So now you have to come correct, because every Instagram insight is individual research upon how my work is doing, right? No label can come to Lil Russell and say, hey, let me give you 20,000, put you on tour, we'll pay for everything else. You're not coming at him like that, because he has his own market, he has his own research, and he has his own concerts in the backyard every Sunday. I can't wait to go to LA this next time, see if I can get in. You know what I mean? But there's still a need for labels if they are willing to come down with their terms and agreements to a certain point, right?
Yeah.
Because distribution is still a thing, right? Promotion is still a thing. But I think that certain labels, certain places, certain things, they have to come out of the music.
Yeah.
They have to get out of the artist's creation and stop saying what you said. Oh, that won't pop right now. Or it won't do this, or it won't do that.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, they should step out of that.
Yeah, let me say this. I would say I got a couple things. One, I want to say that being independent is specific to people who can do it. I'm not here to talk down on labels, because in certain spaces labels are needed, right? If it's the right situation, take the label deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you feel like you can handle it, be independent. Everything is it's a case by case situation.
It sure is.
I think too much nowadays. I think way too much people just go, oh, independent. Oh, I'm gonna be independent. They don't know what it takes to be independent successfully. It's the cool thing right now to say you're independent, but trust me,
take the help if you need it.
Yeah, it's not easy,
but it got to be the right kind of help.
Exactly. So don't go. And again, this is just me giving advice to like artists who might be listening, who aren't signed or are trying to be successful artists. Don't go into a situation and be like, man, I'm finna be independent. If a label comes or a situation comes and it works for you, take what works for you. You know what I mean? If you feel like you can handle being independent, do that, because everybody is not going to be able to do the Lil Russell.
Right.
But I also want to say that, to your point, I feel like there are areas where labels can help. Like there are artists who don't know what to do with themselves.
Right.
They have the talent, but that's it.
Yeah.
Some artists just have the talent. They don't know how to read
promotional skills.
Yeah, they don't know how to read analytics. They don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to dress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in some places, labels, boom, you know what I mean? That's where they get their bread and butter at. Now, there's also a route where, and I think this is, and I could be wrong, I don't want to speak to a situation. So I'll just say, like, say you're an independent artist. There are things that you can do and partners that you can partner up with, so you can function as a major. You're independent functioning as a major.
Yep.
Because you have a distribution deal, because you have this sponsor over here. You have this group of people that you work with.
There's more than one outlet to do this thing.
Exactly. And
so
I
don't necessarily think that the old 360 label deal is necessary.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yo, 360 is no. No. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, just to speak to your point, I think there's multiple ways to do it. And you know, I'm not here to down talk the labels though. You know what I mean? Because if the bag is right,
I hope you don't feel like that's what I'm doing.
No.
Like there's from what the past was to where we're at now.
Yeah,
there's so much that you can do under partnership, under the terms of partnership, under the terms of sponsors, under the terms of I don't want to call them quick deals, but good deals.
Yeah.
Real good, in and out, fast deals.
I be wanting it to be known because I see a lot of times it's almost like independent is so trendy right now. And it can be misleading to the 16-year-old rapper that's finna be 18 soon. And he's like, yo, I'm gonna be independent. Like, all right. Yeah.
That means every penny you make at that job that you hate. That means waking up early mornings and late nights. That means I don't know how many times I tell, like, I work with kids too on the side as well. Like, I don't know how many times I tell them, like, this ish ain't easy. This industry is hard. Just because you see your favorite TikToker blowing up and then they all of a sudden is there, all of that done in a weekend. Or all of that done in a year. What you gonna do with the money? Or surprise thing, surprise, the government don't want TikTok. All right, you got 40 days to sell it. If you can't sell this or you don't want to sell this, it ain't gonna be here. What do you tell people who main income right now is solely TikTok? You have to be a working, functioning artist that thinks not just this, but in a grand scheme of things. I used to hate how many people were coming into the podcast space, and then now I'm like, okay, I love it. I like it. You know why? Because it makes it easier in a sense in some ways, a little harder in others. But if you know you're talented and you got it, you can always pull it through. Well, and I think that's the same for artists.
Yeah, the analogy I like to use is Hershey could give you the ingredient to make the Hershey bar. They give you the wrapper. They give you everything. You're still not going to make Hershey.
Right.
You're still not going to be Hershey.
Still ain't going to look. You can take every piece I did, but you ain't going to make it work like exactly. I make it work.
Hershey is Hershey for a reason.
But you know what's one thing speaking to you right now? That confidence that I love. The confidence that I see.
Yeah.
And the first time I actually got to meet you in person, I was hosting at the Bucks.
Oh, yeah.
Arena.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know Wave Chappelle. Yeah. Let's see what he does. One of the best performances I ever saw.
I appreciate it.
On that court. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of halftime and whatnots and Star Spangled Banners and all that good stuff. I was like, oh, this is the one right here. Now, of course, when I was brought in, you had done this 100 billion one times before. Yeah. So you kind of knew what the game was. But you performed with I don't want to call it Hoop Troop. What's
Rim
it called?
Rockers.
Rim Rockers.
My Rim Rockers.
Perform with the Rim Rockers. You tossing them up the ball. You jumping off the thing with Bango.
Yeah.
It was amazing to see. And I was like, number one, got to interview him. Two, he knows what he's doing. Even from... When I tell y'all, I thought he came in his performing outfit. Now, keep in mind, I know from hosting, like, I never wear the outfit that I'm going to do in practice. But I had seen a lot of people come in what they were going to perform in.
Yeah.
No. He wore a whole separate outfit for practice. And I'm telling you, the outfit was, like, outfitting. Like, I was like, oh, this outfit. Like, he had the Carhartt overalls on. Yeah. With a I'm a T-shirt. I want to say that it was Unfinished Legacy. Whole jewelry, boom, bap, smelled well. I was like, oh, this is nice. Like, I can't wait to see what he do. About time performance came around, and I looked down the tunnel and I see him, whole new outfit, and I remember seeing you with just you and your photographer, and y'all going through the shots that you want. Right? I think it was either a photographer and videographer.
Yep.
I couldn't touch point on what exactly he was doing. Both.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're sitting in the back of the tunnel. He's not playing around. There was no play. Hey, I need this angle, that angle, this. Please make it happen. Yeah. You know, Smiles, you talking to people a little bit, but you focus.
Absolutely.
And then when you got on that court, it showed tremendously. And I was like, thoroughly impressed.
I appreciate it, for real.
So how did it come? Because you're not just like a performer with the Bucks, but you're also a Bucks ambassador.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
You know, it's funny. it sounds simple, but it happened really just because I'm a fan of the Bucks. Just from being a fan of the team. And for a long time, I've always supported the team. I at them all the time on Twitter. I'll at them on Instagram. I just support, like, naturally.
Yeah.
And one day, I think this was last year, one day they just reached out and was like, hey, like, we love to meet with you about being an ambassador for the team. And, you know, we'll further explain what it means, what it looks like, whatever.
Right.
And you know, sure enough, we met, and it just made sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
Me being an artist from Milwaukee, I feel like I represent Milwaukee very well, and they agreed. So, you know, it just made sense to make the connection happen. And from there, you know, I've just been repping the team. I perform pretty often. I help judge a lot of the auditions, help pick, you know, some of the dancers for the team, the Bucks beats, curating playlists, you know, music that they play, stuff like that. Yeah. Shout out DJ Shauna. And, yeah, you know, just really I'm just being of service to the team, honestly, whenever they need me.
Just from being a fan.
Yeah, just really from just supporting super hard. And, you know, I said this in another pod, but it's surreal, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, I grew up on 32nd and Villard, you know what I mean?
Right.
I remember going to the Bucks game, and it used to be the Bradley Center, you know what I'm saying? And so fast forward, had its full circle moment where I can work with the team this close, be acknowledged by the team.
Right.
And, you know, being on the middle of the floor of the arena to rap. Like, I'm not there to hoop because I hoop.
Yeah.
I'm there because I rap good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just means the world.
I think the Bucks do an amazing job of sponsoring us locals, right? They could pull in talent from a number of different places, but they always strive to seek what's local. And it's a beautiful thing. Even like with my journey with them. Amazing team, amazing cast of people behind the scenes, on the court, dancers, and like you said, 45th and Locust, you know, 45th and Hadley. That's where I grew up. Yeah. And you know, of course, I've been to Bucks games, Bradley Center. Of course, I've been there. We call it the concrete jungle a little bit because it was all concrete. But I remember being in the Raptors, never thinking that, I can't afford to be down there, but happy to go because I'm with my dad, I'm with my mom. Like, you know, I remember just the year before, I went on a nice little date, and he was close to the ground. Like, he was close to the floor. And I remember seeing Melanie. I've always had, like, a decent relationship with Mel because I knew her from dancing. She came to my school. She didn't know me, but I knew her. Yeah. So I remember seeing her up close and personal, like, the year before, and seeing her. I was like, dang, that'd be nice to do something like that. And I do believe in manifesting. Yeah. But I'm bad at it, right? The form that I have of manifesting is saying, I think this would be cool for me to do.
That's
search a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like we said before, right? That slight practicing, right? Like that you don't even know is practicing, right? That's my manifesting without even thinking about manifesting. I was there and I was like, okay, this is cool. Then I got the job here, and I met her officially and let her know, and then we became these good friends. Right. And then from there, it was like, oh, now I get this call from the Bucks. Exactly. And when you at center court and you get to see the players up close, you get to see, like, the fans who get to see courtside, see the owner, right? Bango and dancers and all that good stuff. You see it live in action. Yep. You are a little shell shocked. It's a little bit of a culture shock, but you know it because you grew up around it. Yeah. So it makes you have this intensity of like,
it's epic. It's
gotta kill this right now.
It's so epic. I feel like it was a movie. Like walking out on the walk out to the floor is really was. It's like. Yeah. I don't know if you ever seen The Gladiator, but like, you know what I mean? Like walking out, like everybody's going crazy. You know, you hear right. And you just look around, you see all the lights. Yeah. And you know, you just take that deep breath and then you do your thing, you know what I mean? Right.
You see the lights, you see the people. It's an incredible feeling to be on that court. And it's a blessing that they really do hold down local talent.
Yeah, for sure.
And love local talent.
For sure. Shout out the Bucks, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to make sure I get into what you're doing now. Absolutely. So you just released a single, Balance, by the way. Yeah. By the way, you know, all week long, knowing that I'm about to come and interview you, of course I listen to it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I've been listening to it.
You rock with it?
Right now, of course. Okay, awesome. So, see, look, let me tell you, it's one thing to listen to music and know, like, the artist, right? Because I got both side by side. I have 7-minute drill, right? Because J. Cole is my baby. Like, he is my old school crush. Like, when Work Out For Me came out, I was like, oh, he is fine. Like, whatever. But 7 Minute Drill is right next to Balance. Because
that's fire. Yeah.
That's what I'm just listening to right now.
Yeah.
And I want to know, why Balance? Why the sound on the track? Like, I was like, damn, like, well produced, well put together.
Yeah.
Lyrics crazy.
Thank you. I got to shout out Men of Beats. That's my producer that I've been working with pretty much exclusively for the past, like, 2 years. You know what I mean? And me and him, we got really good chemistry with each other. We just go in on these records together. And, you know, we got a lot of music together just sitting. You know what I mean? I've just been sitting on a lot of music. We dropped Can't Stop, Won't Stop last year. And it's been kind of carrying me all the way up to this year. And so it had been a little minute since I had dropped music. And so I was like, man, we might want to, you know, put some points on the board. You know, second quarter hit. So we got to score, right? It's time.
Right.
And so we just went through the records, and this record just felt like it had the right energy to come out with, you know what I mean, for it to be my first song of the year. You know, it's got the bass to it, it's up-tempo, you know what I mean? And, you know, I think it's so crazy, like I'm getting better. I'm still getting better at, you know, just rapping and, you know, balancing,
right.
Doing the melody thing and then finding out where to put the bars and all of that type of stuff. And so this was just like the perfect mesh of all of that. And, you know, we was ready to drop it. And I appreciate the kind words, you know, because somebody like J. Cole, that's somebody that I definitely, those are people that I study and try to, you know, compete with. That's my competition, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm competing with the Drakes.
Make your idols your rivals.
Yeah, I'm competing with the Drakes, the Kendricks, and the Coles. So, you know, I need the music to be that level, that quality. And, yeah, so we dropped it. The single's out. It's called Balance, you know what I mean? If you haven't heard it, go check it out. It's out everywhere. And it's really just the beginning, you know what I mean, of the flurry, if you will, that's about to happen this year. Like, we got tons of records coming.
Well, tell us what's coming.
Is
it an album, a project, an EP? Let us know something.
So we working towards a project. I don't want to give the name just yet, but we working towards a project. I can't say the next joint that I'm about to drop is featuring my dog Ishdar. That's my actual like homie in real life, but also like we collaborate all the time.
Tell him I want to interview him. If I DM him one more time, I'm gonna feel like a groupie.
Oh no, that's nothing. I'm probably gonna go kick it with him right after this. But yeah, so that joint's coming. That one, that we just coming out with the energy. Honestly, it's gonna have a lot of energy. I want to have the energy going into the summer. So you know, we just gonna keep turning it up. But yeah, I appreciate it though, because you know, for me, it's all about, I love the whole skill and being wordy and stuff like that. That's really why I love the second verse on Balance. You know what I mean? Where I just kind of go in. But yeah, I'm rocking with that. I got 7 Minute Drill in rotation too.
Okay. Real quick before we go, how do you feel about this? I don't even know what to call it, because a part of me doesn't feel like it's beef. But how do you feel about
I'm glad you asked
Kendrick
me.
and J. Cole?
I'm glad you asked me this, because I feel like people who play the sport are the better analysts of the sport.
Yeah.
Same thing with basketball. I'd rather listen to JJ Redick or LeBron or like somebody who played the game talk about the sport than someone who never played it, because you get, you know, just these off perspectives. But anyway, this whole thing between the big three, J. Cole, Drake, whatever, all these guys are extremely, extremely talented. Right. And so let me start by saying my take. Cole is the better rapper of the three, hands down.
Okay.
Cole, from a skill perspective, if we're talking about rapping, the act of rapping, Cole has it all in his toolbox. He's the better rapper. Now, if you want to talk albums, you want to talk about singles and numbers and all that stuff, then cool. That's another discussion. But if we're talking about who the better rapper is, it's clearly J. Cole, hands down. And I'm a verse for verse guy. Whoever hears this and want to go verse for verse, we can do that too. And then also too, I wish we could talk about it objectively. Too many times I feel like everybody's, you know, people basically pick who they're a fan of, and then they basically trash the other guys. Yeah. When really it's like, obviously all three of these guys are at a very, very high level.
Right.
Clearly, To Pimp a Butterfly is not a bad album. But then in the same breath, again, J. Cole is just out rapping these guys right now.
I think I lied a little bit, because I do remember the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
nigga, fuck the big three. It's just Big Me.
Right.
And then with Jay coming through and saying your first was a classic, your second shit was your last shit was tragic, and
your last shit was tragic.
You see,
your second album was a sleeper, but they the second album put us to sleep, but they gassed it.
Right.
Basically, you know what I mean? Like, but it's so many jabs throughout the whole album. Like 7-minute drill to the side. I feel like that one he was like, okay, I'm gonna address him directly, but if you listen to P.I. where it goes, he dropped his album, it was trash. I littered it like I can't spell it. Like, yo, that's crazy. Like,
and that's double entendre, right? Because trash, litter, and then be illiterate.
I litter it like I can't spell it.
Right.
Come on, bro. That's a
bar.
Stop
playing with me out here.
And again, like these are the little intricacies that the regular people that aren't artists or like can't dissect that. They're not listening to that. They don't catch that. But anyway, not to get too nerdy on y'all with the hip hop stuff, but
this is what this is. First off, this podcast is called Life and Culture, and this is the culture of hip hop, right?
I get nerdy with it. You know what I mean?
I'm not an artist by any shape or form. I can't rap, I can't sing, but I am a DJ, right?
Right.
Lyrics, beats per minute, all that stuff matters to me, right?
Yeah.
When I heard this, something in me, childhood, said, no, Jesus. Because remember, as many rumors and confirmations that they have said that there is like a body of work out there that they did together that we have always been hoping for, that we just wake up in the middle of the night and hope that it dropped.
That's never happened.
And now that this beef is going on, I've always thought that they were buddy, but also remember too, they have been. I mean, even
they
J.
are
Cole
friends.
said it.
He said it. That's his man's. That's why
I hate to do this.
People are like, yo, 7-minute drill. He didn't go hard enough. He's clearly saying in the song, I don't even want to battle with. I don't even want to battle, bro.
I don't even want to do this.
This is my man's. But if you make me do it,
right.
That's why the next one went. If bro responds, because it's chess too and beef, you got to play the chess game. So if he responds again, then I feel like that's where bro gonna chop his neck off.
Jay just gonna
go
all the way with it.
But I also want to say this too. People gotta stop disrespecting Drake pen. Like his ghostwriter rumors aside, this man can rap at a high level. I don't want to hear it. People say, oh, he can just sing and all, he just makes the hits. Drake can rap at a high level. This is why he's also is in the room with these two guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, bro I'm telling you, people sleep.
I think people need to go back and listen to Underground King.
People are sleeping on him as a straight up rapper, and he might have a knockout punch.
Right.
He might have it.
In a bag. Tucked away somewhere.
You know what I mean?
Because we see him and how he gets down in beef. Like, he really goes for the neck, too.
Yeah.
But if you really do question Drake's pen, you should go back and listen to Underground King. That really solidified for me as an adult when I got older. Like, Drake, this not a writer. And then you could still see in certain points in his career where that comes to play.
Even his latest album, For All the Dogs, like when you listen to the deluxe version, like Scary Hours 3, I think.
Yeah.
All of those joints, like Red Button, Evil Ways, like all those, Wickman, he's going nuts on those
people
joints.
are focused on the hits when they talk about Drake, but they don't focus on the songs that's on the album that Drake really do put his hand in. Because the song that you may like as an artist may not be the hit that you need to promote or put the pressure behind.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel like Drake right, I pressure you to go listen to all the B-sides. I'll say it like that. Yeah. Go listen to all the songs that aren't the biggest songs, and you will find Drake and you will find the origins of it. But I want to say this about Kendrick, because I can't pick. I can't choose. These niggas is crazy for doing this. To me, who like I told you, childhood wants a collaborative album from the two of these guys. Like, I can't imagine what that would look like, an album with the two of them. You saying it'll never happen. I have hopes for it.
It's not going to happen because the nature of hip-hop is extremely, extremely, extremely competitive.
It is.
It's so competitive. When you're the guy, though, it gets so competitive. And to the point where, like, you get these guys that were two friends, right? But not once he's seen, okay, cool, him and Drake rocking, cool, you know what? Let me just break it all up.
Right.
Let me just flip the whole table.
I swear to God, I've been saying that to everybody. And Kendrick is not really mad at anybody for anything or nothing.
Nah.
He's a Gemini like me. Yeah. He bored.
Yeah, it's for the sport. I will say this. I'm gonna say this about Kendrick too. I think Kendrick is a great artist, but I do hate how, and this is all my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. I hate how the goalposts move when it comes to Kendrick, right? So when it's Kendrick versus Cole, now we got numbers. Now we talking, oh, Kendrick sold more. Kendrick has 8 Grammys, or he's got the Pulitzer Prize, whatever. That's the debate with him and Cole. But then when it's between Kendrick and Drake,
it's all lyricism.
Oh, numbers don't matter.
Yeah.
The numbers don't matter. Oh, so who cares? Drake tripled his album sales. Who cares about how many number ones he has?
Right.
So it's like the goalpost is forever moving.
Right. On all of them though too, because it moves
Cole,
for Drake's
not
too.
For Cole. Cole don't never get the benefit of the doubt. When Cole just straight up out rap everybody, people be like, but he don't got no singles though, or he don't got the albums though.
See,
like
I'm a J. Cole lover. I just told you. Like, I have a different sort
of level. And I rock with all three.
Him.
I do have all three in my my order is probably right now, because it does fluctuate. It fluctuates every year. Sometimes when the other one drop, it fluctuates.
Yeah.
Right now, J. Cole is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I got Drake at 2, and I have Kendrick at 3.
Wow. I got Drake at 3.
That's crazy.
And between the two of them, I can't choose.
That's crazy.
But I'm telling you why Drake is at 3 consistently for me is because as soon as one of these dudes drop, I bump them every time. And then when Drake is having his run, he number 1. I'm not that. I can't. Every time somebody drop, I move them around like chess pieces because when they decide to drop again, they create a world around it and they dedicate it to literally a crowd like me. So I can't.
Drake is too consistent to ever be 3. He's too consistent. Mm-hmm. If you show me every year, he's like, I'm not saying that he's the LeBron of rap, but it's very similar to like what LeBron does in the NBA. Every year, if every year I show, even if I don't win the chip, if every year I show you that I'm the guy, every year, I'm here consistently, that gotta mean something. Drake ain't took a year off. Like he's been the common denominator every year. He's coming with an album, a lot of great music every time.
But sometimes that's the issue.
Is it? Is it though? Because he's still, and also too, what about the album sales got to count for something?
Right.
I'm talking to go
counts for a lot.
400K, 300K first week, like these guys are not doing that.
For somebody like me who like is part of the target market, right, for these songs. When you consistent like that, you hitting me number 1. But then as soon as one of these 2 scarce guys drop, oh my, how long am I streaming them and putting you to the backside because I know you about to come with something that I'm going to listen to anyway. So being overly accessible in a sense can then be an issue too. But then also that scarcity can be an issue too because what Jay said it himself. 4 albums, 12 years, I could divide.
Oh, but, no, he wasn't talking about Drake.
Oh, excuse me. No, I know he wasn't talking about Drake. He was talking about Kendrick. But I'm saying,
he's like, yo, where you at? He
scarcity has a problem.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. No, he wasn't talking about Drake,
it's like,
obviously.
Yo, if you not outside, bro, you can't. If you not outside,
yeah,
don't come out. They don't finally decide to come outside, throw a rock, and then you back in the crib for another 3 years.
Right.
What are we
doing? Come outside, be outside.
You just came outside and threw the rock. Stay outside.
Right. That's why I've been liking female rap beef. I ain't gonna lie. I've been liking the bars. It's been, don't you dare. Hold on, don't you dare.
No, not don't the female music. I like the female MCs. I don't like the beef though. Why y'all beefing? Y'all let the hype.
Come on now. See.
Why we beefing?
Moving the goalposts.
No,
because that's a part of hip hop.
The beef don't be about nothing though. The beef don't be about the beef. Wait, time out. The beef don't be, oh, I'm a better rapper than you. The beef be like, you seen me at the festival and you didn't say nothing.
Oh my God. Men do that same thing too, but then they just make it all about who the better rapper. It sometimes, whatever.
I'm all for the sport, right?
We're a little catty.
like if Lotto and Nicki, right, just straight be like, yo, I'm better than you. All right, well, drop your joint, and then I'm gonna out rap you.
I hope they do.
If that was that, I'd be like, okay, this is dope. But like even I think the past week, Glorilla and JT are going back and forth. I don't even know what it's about, but it's like it's clearly not about no music.
Look, it is partially about some music.
Is it?
Don't
Okay.
don't do it like that. It is partially about some music. But also I think that women rappers, they come for the whole aesthetic.
Yeah.
They come for the whole of you.
Yeah.
We're not just doing we don't typically say who's the best rapper
I want
with the
bars.
lyrics. Okay, Wave. I hear you. I hear you, but the female beef, they go hard. Go hard or go home. Yeah. People were mad at Nicki for what she said on Bigfoot.
Nah,
but
Nicki
to me,
the GOAT.
When you say, and kid you not, his was amazing. Meg did great. Meg came for the neck. When she said, you ain't mad at me, you mad at Megan's Law, I said, oh, Jesus. But the same rules and regulations that we have for men rappers, if you come for wife, children, X, Y, and Z, all bars off, right? So you got to have that same energy when it's female beef too. Right. So when she said the Megan's Law, she obviously was coming for her husband, right. And in turn, that's coming for her kid as well, because Megan's Law is a child's law technically. Yeah. So when she said the thing about her mom, I ain't have no feelings about it, no qualms, because when you take the gloves off, now the gloves is off, and now you want to be hurt about it.
Right.
But I enjoy female beef because they go for it. They go for it. They go for the neck, like go for the jugular. And sometimes I think with male rappers, they think about relationships, right? And as they should. But I think they also think about the future of numbers and what may happen, right? Yeah. Like I may need to jump on a record that you're on. Yeah. They think a little bit too long term when I need that short term energy of like
shout
coming
out to
right
the female
away.
MCs though. I love it. Even though I need to say this too. Nicki Minaj is a top 10 all-time rapper. She's in like my all-time list. But
no female males ish at all. Top 10 period. And for me, top 5 hands down of that 10. Don't get me started. Wave, don't do it.
You see, I can't say that, but top 10 for sure.
But yeah. I'm sorry we got on this tangent at the last
it's all
bit.
Good.
I've been meaning to joust with somebody about these ideas.
I love it.
But let them know where they can find you, where they can find your music. How can they support?
Absolutely. Y'all can find me on all socials. Real REAL Wave Chappelle, the real wave, not the fake one. There's a lot of fake waves out there. You can find the music, Wave Chappelle, Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming services, everywhere. I do have a bunch of shows coming up. I'm doing the Save the Turf Festival here in Milwaukee in June. That's going to be fire. I'll release more details on that on my socials. And, I have a crazy catalog. So, if you listen to this or you find this podcast, just go find something you like. I have over 70 songs out now, and and the newest single is Balance. Go stream it up, run it up. We're gonna keep doing our thing, you know what I mean?